Hi, everyone. I am so happy you're here and on a Tuesday, no less. Thanks for making that adjustment with New Year's Eve coming up on Thursday. Thought this might be a better time to talk and, get our mind wrapped around the end of the year and what's coming next. We all survived 2020, so that's a really good thing. So I know that there are some new people here tonight, and I just like to start out by first introducing myself so that we can get a little bit acquainted in case we haven't met before. My name is Noreen Savage, and you might wonder, why am I doing these Zoom chats? This is number 22. I can't believe it. But back in May of 2019, I'll just tell you a very quick story. Back in May of 2019, my good friend Lori posted on her private Facebook page that she had lost 57 pounds by doing a program called Bright Line Eating. And if you wanted more information, just, contact her privately. And I quickly went to my messenger and found out that there were 4 bright lines: no sugar, no flour, 3 meals a day, and weighed and measured portions. And to all of that, I thought, no way. There is no way I could do that. That was way beyond. Even though I had struggled with my weight, I began at a top of 270 pounds, and I had struggled for about a good 25 years. Not all of my life, but a good chunk of my last 25 years. I had really struggled trying every conceivable diet that I thought was healthy enough to do. And I thought, no way I could do this, but I met with Lori for lunch, and she told me more about the program. And again, she had never even read the book. There's a book by Susan Pierce Thompson that you may have seen in the slideshow if you haven't become familiar with Bright Line Eating. My friend Lori had not even read the book, but she suggested that I read the book and I join a group called We Eat Bright with Lines. At the time, the Bright Line official page, I don't think was even open yet. So here was this We Eat Bright with Lines, and I got on there and I started reading the book, and I decided after 5 chapters, I shut the book and I thought, I'm going to get thin. And I began even before I read the food plan. I just practiced for 3 weeks, and then I jumped all in on the 4th week. And because of the support of that private Facebook group that I was getting, I met so many people who were my support. And I made a promise to myself that if I lasted 1 year, I would do what my friend Lori did. I would post on my private Facebook page, and I would help anybody I could. And just before that year was up, God put on my spirit. I'm a Christian. I felt like God put on my spirit, Noreen, you can do more than that. You could have Facebook Zooms, just as I had become acquainted with people through Facebook chats with this COVID. It was put on my heart, well, maybe if they just met some of these great people that I had met over the year, that would give them some hope. And that's why I'm here tonight. And I have met a wonderful person, Cindy Norsworthy, through one of these Zoom type of open dialogue that she has done with, I think it's the On the Bright Side. There are 2, one's a public page and one's a private group. And I think it's On the Bright Side that Cindy hosts once a month speakers, I believe. And also I met her through that, but she also does a Wednesday Zoom connection, and that should be in the chat possibly. But anyway, I was amazed, first of all, by her meditation techniques, which I'm hoping tonight we will see some of that. So stay tuned for that. But just, I was so grateful when she agreed to come on and share her story. So without further ado, I want you to meet Cindy Norsworthy. If you're unmuted, Cindy, I hope you say hi. I know you have a lot of friends here tonight.
Yes, yes, I do. It's so wonderful to see so many familiar faces and people that I love. Yes, thank you so much for having me, Noreen. I'm really looking forward to visiting with you today.
Yeah, we'll just have a little chat. And, we talked a couple of days ago just to get to know each other a little bit better. And I'm always fascinated at how people find bright line eating. If you could take us back to where you were, I put a slide up there, willingness. And as we end up at this year, we're coming in from all different types of willingness. For me, my willingness was pain. I had very swollen feet, pain in my knee, my back, mornings, or at night, sometimes I wondered if I'd wake up in the morning. I was 135 pounds overweight. And so there was a fear factor and pain. But many people come from different kind of willingness that will bring them to a program like that. So where were you in this journey?
Yeah, so thank you for asking. Yeah, my story is somewhat similar to yours, in the sense that I think we all start from a place of resistance, first of all. I think there's a place that's where I was. I was in a real place of resistance where I knew, I had had this journey from age 17 where I had started gaining weight after the breakup of my first boyfriend, started gaining weight gradually, started off with 10, 12 pounds and went to 20 and 30 to over 60 pounds heavier than I am today. And when I first heard about bright line eating, there was a lot of resistance, just as you described. I saw it and I thought, oh no, I don't think I could do something like this. This sounds really too strict. Mm-hmm. And over the course of a couple of months of just, like you said, kind of just considering to hit a bottom where I've got to do something. I had already been through a program previous where I was going in every week and having shots. And I had lost about 40 pounds with that program. And then it had been about 6 months and I was gaining that weight back. I had already gained back about 15 of it. And I was starting to panic again, thinking, looking for the next program. What's the next thing I'm going to do? Because like so many of us here, I've checked off the list of program after program every year or so, trying something new. And so many of the programs do work. But then after you get to a point and you think, well, I'm going to go back to eating normally again. But I didn't realize at that time that there was no such thing as a normal eater for someone that, has food addiction issues or food issues. There was no such thing. I kept thinking I could lose the weight and then go back to eating normally. And then it would always continue to come back. And it was, that fear, then that,
Well, did you feel that? Because what I'm hearing from you is that yours initiated maybe with an emotional type situation where you started gaining weight after the breakup. Mm-hmm. But did you then feel that you became a food addict, or was it more like just a gradual, I'm eating too much? I mean,
yeah, it was definitely going to food for comfort and for every reason other than just for pure hunger, right? It was going for food for a lot of different reasons throughout the years. And it just gradually got worse and worse. But I can actually, now that you have a different perspective and look back, I can see where there were a couple of times in my childhood, in my younger teenagers years where I would go to food, for comfort or have a little, I just remember overdoing it one time on white bread. I remember looking at this, and then this is the one that really keys me off that maybe I was going to have some food issues. I remember looking for something sweet. I was babysitting for my nieces. I remember looking in their closet for something sweet in their pantry. Couldn't find anything that really suited me, and I ended up eating a handful of Baby Bear aspirin because I wanted something sweet. So that I had totally forgot about that issue until much later, recently, when you're going through this and trying to trace things back. So there were a couple of instances prior to that age 17, but I never had a weight problem.
Right.
Prior to
age 17. That's kind of similar. I didn't do the baby aspirin, but now when you said that just triggered a thought. How, and I said to you, I don't consider myself a food addict. However, I think that this whole relationship with sugar was my problem child way a long time. Even, I stayed slim up to about 30 some. Wow. But I do now. When you said that, it made me think. I remember being called the Cookie Monster because I would go around sneaking cookies. And so, yeah, whether I want to call it that or I just may have an addictive piece to the sugar, that is one thing that the cookies, and I hate to say that that's not my food, NMF, for those who are new, that can be my demise. And for 16 months of my journey now, that's the one thing that I've needed to stay away from, that I don't want to even think about it. So yeah, so somehow you tried these other programs, even like the shots, which that's
Right.
kind of scary.
And it
Yeah.
worked for a while. I lost 40 pounds. I mean, there's a lot of programs out there that work, right?
Oh yeah, I
It's
lost hundreds of pounds. I just
right.
gained them back.
Exactly. Same here. Same here. You
Yeah.
lose the same 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds over and over and over again. And then for it to just continue to come back. And after a while, I mean, that just becomes so discouraging and you just become more and more afraid to try the next program. And so there were a lot of resistance when I had first heard about Bright Line Eating on Facebook. And I was actually checking out a couple of different programs when I actually posted on a private Facebook group that I was on, asking for some advice, saying that I needed to lose at least 20 pounds. What would work for you guys in this private Facebook group? And I had a ton of answers, but 7 of them said Bright Line Eating.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, okay. This was in 2017. This was May of 2017 when I created that post. And I thought, okay, well, let me take another look at it. And then I went on their website and saw about the 14-day challenge and thought, well, let me just dip my toe in and try it and see. But I had so much resistance. The idea of weighing food sounded horrible to me, as well as just so much of it just felt very restrictive. And I had actually had a conversation with a therapist because I was going through some therapy during the same time before BLE. And I remember telling her, she had helped me to become a daily meditator. And I was now a daily meditator for about a good 6-8 months when I really noticed a difference in my ability to be able to manage my anxiety and things. And I remember telling her, I feel so much better as a result of the program that I was with her. I said, the only thing I have is I just have these food issues. I just find that food is such a big trigger for me. And I just think about food all the time. And I don't know what to do about this food. And I told her about Bright Line Eating. And she even said, well, that sounds like a really restrictive program.
Right.
And so I was just really hesitant. And so the 14-day challenge is what got me to dip my toe in and try it. And by the 3rd day, I was sucked in. I was like, wow. This does really work. I am already feeling better. I was already feeling better in my body and in my mind. And then I realized, now this was before all these wonderful groups that you're a part of now. This was May of 2017. So many of the groups that you're a part of didn't start till later in 2017. And so I heard about the boot camp. And so right after the 14-day challenge, I joined the boot camp. And I think for me, that was where the magic really happened. That's when I started meeting other people that were on this journey. I started getting that deeper support that I needed. I started recognizing that I was not alone with this food chatter that was constantly going in my mind. And I met some wonderful people. I met my buddy, Lynette Perkins, who's here right now. And we have been buddies since August of 2017, speaking every week. And that and so many other connections have made such a difference for me. It's just the connections.
That's so fantastic. And then, you know what, I want to say, I want to talk a little bit more about boot camp. I have not taken boot camp. I have not done the 14-day challenge, but I don't want to put that out there that that's not the thing to do. You're obviously successful with it. A lot of people will come in and they maybe want to do it. They may be hesitant about the money. I know that there are scholarship programs, and I think that, if it's okay with you, I know that you have an email address with your new connection group, that maybe they could ask you about it too, because you have said that it is a really great thing to do, is the boot camp. So I'll just put that out there too.
Thank you. I love talking to people about the boot camp. For me, that was where the magic really happened, where I was able to start recognizing that I had some issues and I could get the support that I needed. I marvel at people like you that are able to do it without the boot camp, because the boot camp helped me to be able to really put into place and to practice so many things that are talked about in the book. You know, became more of a practice.
Wow.
And you were surrounded by people that were, I mean, this BLE community is remarkable, right? And they model for you in the boot camp how to really start loving yourself in a much deeper way. And that to me was part of what really helped so much.
Well, I've kept the boot camp in my back pocket, and I'm kind of leaning over the precipice right now. Especially, I'll be just very upfront. This past week to 10 days has been really a struggle for me. And my motto has been, as Lori, my friend, she said, if you ever get in the ditch, Noreen, number one, don't beat yourself up. Number two, don't look back. You're not going that way. And I always added, stop, drop, and do the next right thing. But I tell you what, sometimes it's hard to do the next right thing, and especially during the holidays, and just there's extra stuff, and you know, there's always extra stuff, right? But this particular holiday, we didn't get together with family, we didn't do the normal things because of COVID. And you know, there are those issues, and I know I'm not alone there. There's a lot of the emotional side of that this isn't the normal. I don't want the not normal time. I want the normal time now, you know?
No. Yes,
And
I
so,
am so tired of the normal. I would add one thing to what you said. You had a list of 3 things that you would do if your friend told you if you, I would really say that one of the key things to do if you feel like you're struggling or you're going through a difficult period is to up your support. And I mean real support, you know, where you're like the boot camp. I mean, I would certainly recommend that. And then buddies and mastermind groups and all the things, all the tools that Susan talks about in her book and in the boot camp are there to really help you to put into place a program that's sustainable, right? None of us want to go back to just losing the weight and then gaining it back again. We don't want to. We want to stop that yo-yo. So to be able to stop that yo-yo, we need to be able to put some more additional support in place. For I believe is, in my perspective, I believe that connections are key.
And well, that, and also one big piece to me has always been the science, and the very first chapter of the science talking about willpower. I'll just give you an example, real life example that happened yesterday, my son's birthday. He wanted a special dessert, an MF, okay, not my food. I mean, he asked if I would make it. Of course I would make it. So I made it with every intention. I am not going to touch this. I'm going to just make it. We gathered around. We had the song. We had everything going on. I had no intention of touching that food until I did. And I realized, stepping back from the situation, that I had worn out my willpower. Instead of saying, okay, guys, you take it from here, you can serve it. I'm even right to the point of serving this. And I've now made it, decorated it, lit the candles on it, done everything with this. And now I'm serving it, but I'm feeling it coming up in my system that, Noreen, step away, but I didn't. I didn't want to leave, and that was too late. And this is where, you know, I think that looking back, you know, because analyzing, doing the next right thing too, stepping back after, you know, it's done. I asked, what could I have done differently? I could have called a buddy, and I could have bookended and said, you know what, we have a big thing going tonight. There's 9 of us here. We're gonna have a birthday thing. I'm making a dish. It's going to be special, but I'm also going to be tempted. Can I just call you back tonight? I think that would have been one thing right there. And that goes to your connection piece.
That could have been a difference. And then again, but you have some lessons learned from that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the biggest takeaway I hope for you in
Yeah.
all of this. And for all of
Right.
us, when we have, little or big slip ups, is to seek the lesson in it and look for what did I learn from that, and what could I do differently in the future if something like that, I face that again.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I also think it's really important for you to be open and honest as you are today, because oftentimes when we do something that we're maybe is a little off plan, we have a tendency to want to hide in shame and pretend like it didn't happen. And that's the value of having buddies, is that I can call Lynette and I can tell her what happened, and so I'm not hiding in that closet anymore. I'm not isolating like I used to. I have people that I in my boo crew that Susan suggests. I have created, this boo crew of people that are there to support me, that I know if I call or text them, they are going to be there for me, and I'm there for them. And that ability to be able to show up and be honest and share it. I mean, you've made some great headway as a result of that.
Well, it is headway for me personally, because even through this journey, I've been married since I was 18 years old. And up until last year, I never would tell my husband, hey, I just ate a bunch of stuff. That was all done alone, sneaking around, all that kind of stuff. The weight just piled on. But when I started Bright Line Eating, and I'm sure he thought I was like, what in the world? First of all, that's why I practiced for 3 weeks, because I didn't even tell him. I just could not fail again publicly, even to my husband. But I told him, okay, that you're going to think this is strange, but if I ever eat off plan, like I did yesterday, I'm going to tell you. And he's like, you're going to tell me? I'm going to tell you. And because that is one thing, being honest, and I'm not a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a failure. That's just one little blip, but I'm being honest, like you said, not in isolation. So anyway, what are some of the tools besides the connection that you really valued from the boot camp experience? I know you talked about a nightly checklist.
Right. Yeah. She gives you that in the book as well. I think the connection was definitely a big piece of it, but part of it was that the leaders in the boot camp, and there's also VIP posters in the boot camp that are there modeling for you how to treat yourself when you do have questions or you do have slip ups. And they help to model for you how to give yourself a lot of compassion. And that to me is another really huge key. Connection and compassion through this journey, as we're learning the journey, as we're figuring it out, as we stumble along the way, that we continue to give ourselves compassion through that, and that's modeled so beautifully in the boot camp. And it's just a smaller group, like these groups that you're a part of are 17, 12,000. Where the boot camp's more like 300 or so in there.
Mm.
And you have a safe place. It's a private place to be able to ask questions, and then there's coaching available to you in the boot camp, and various types of coaching, from a weekly call on every Wednesday where you can call in and ask any real private question you have. There's a coaching available in the Facebook group through the leaders. And then you also have access to Dr. Joy Jacobs in the boot camp. And anyone that's had some real significant food issues, such as, food, I can't think of the word I want to use, but anorexia, binging,
restricting or purging,
any real issues like that. She is an expert in that field. She's written the program over at the University of San Diego, and you have access to her. And so there's just a lot of really quality support. You get introduced to all the coaches and people that are key people in the Bright Line Eating community who are just lovely. So you haven't had a chance to meet Joanne Campbell Rice or Dr. Joy or Lynn Colson or Lyndon Del Moro Rio. And all these people have been around for so much longer. And I think part of the key is having people on the journey that have been on the journey longer than you have to be able to give you that support, right? And so be able to have access to these key people, I believe, was another piece of that. I think it's a puzzle we're trying to put together.
Yeah. Well, there's this thing is, I've said this before, and it's not necessarily original, but I feel like as you're losing the weight, okay, the weight is more than just the physical. It's like you said, even like for me, running the numbers in my head that week, how many calories, how many points, how many minutes of exercise, how many this and how many that, how many pounds did I lose, how many ounces did I lose, you know, and then if, oh my goodness, if you went up a pound, forget that, you know, it's just, you're devastated, you know, and just all the food chatter of food around, calling your name if you're in the workroom or whatever in the office, you know, if there's something special going on. But you get rid of that. But I think sometimes it's also lifting that to find maybe more of your own purpose. And I know that beyond the boot camp, and I don't know if it was after you lost the weight, but you got even more interested in helping others to get into not just their right size body, but to have the compassion for themselves too, is what I'm hearing from our conversation the other day.
Right. Yes, that's definitely been a big part. And that's one of the things I've learned from Joanne Campbell Rice, who is one of my favorite coaches in BLE, is that it's a continuum, that we start off with resistance and we gradually get to the point where we're really embracing bright line eating as a lifestyle. And I have arrived there. I have been arrived, you know, I've been 3 years this month in my right size body. So that means for the last 3 years, I have maintained my weight within a 5-pound range. I mean, that is a miracle. That is a miracle. And I am happy to share that with people because I want to share the miracle of it. I'm happy to be able to let them know, you know, how I got here and to help coach and mentor people and support people on this journey, because I realize how important that can be. And but learning how to get to the point where this is a lifestyle takes time. It takes time. That didn't happen in the first year. It didn't happen when I hit maintenance. It didn't happen until I was well in maintenance, as I was still continuing to practice these tools and skills and things that I had learned through BLE and also prior to BLE and my own personal growth journey. But to get to the place where you're really embracing it is when you really want to start giving back to the community. You really want to find opportunities to share it with others. And part of it is also very selfish, because one of the things that I learned for myself was in the boot camp, I realized how much I had been isolating, how much I had just moved here from San Diego to Phoenix area, and I didn't know a lot of people. So I actually founded the Phoenix Brightest group and started getting together people on a monthly basis for lunches to satisfy my own need for, again, deeper connection and more local connection. And so, but it was also a give back opportunity, because, you know, we ended up growing from 4 people in November 2017 to 230 people now in Phoenix Brightest. And, you know, people that are all here, pretty much most of them are local here. So it's just been fun. It just has been fun to be able to connect with people and to recognize that I found my tribe, right? We all get each other. We all know what it's like to have food chatter in our brains and how it can rule and control our lives. And we all have a desire to let go of that food chatter and that food controller and things. And so we're here to kind of, like one of my friends has said, we're all holding hands and walking each other home.
Oh, yes. And when we talked the other day, you mentioned the words food neutrality. Now, that's not something that I don't think about it that way. How did you come to that, where you felt like you had food neutrality? It didn't happen overnight, right? No. But I would think that through the boot camp, you really did get your food ready. I mean, your food set. Right. That part of the journey. You really do have to handle the physical food part, is what I'm saying. The compassion and everything else is coming together, but somehow we have to get the food right. And how did you get to that point of food neutrality? Did you keep things simple? Did you just Were you just consistent in the way that you handled food? How do you prep? How do you
Yeah, I think it's about remaining with the attitude of just remaining unstoppable and just continuing to follow the lines, even though I did not have a crystal vase. I still don't have a crystal vase. I still have my occasional every 90 to 120 days where I'll accidentally pop something in my mouth, or I'll go over my quantities or whatever. So I think it's just remaining unstoppable and just continue and recognizing that I have so much more peace when I keep my lines shiny, shiny bright, that I do not want to let go of that peace. And so I think the first thing that came was the automaticity of just doing it, you know, day after day after day after day, and just continuing to do it. Then the automaticity kicks in. And later on, the food neutrality kicked in for me. And food neutrality, if you don't know what that means, what it means to me is that I feel like I've gotten to a place most of the time. You know, I like to keep my food simple. You asked that. I'm not a big prepper. I don't prep on the weekends. I cook almost every day. Not every day. We probably, you know, get something from takeout or Costco type of food or something a couple of times a week as well. But I think the food neutrality, what that means to me is that it doesn't matter if something happens and I can't eat what I had planned, you know, and something happens. I am fine with grabbing a can of tuna fish and a can of green beans and, you know, an apple, and I can call it good. It doesn't really matter to me. 90% of the time, I am just give me some protein, vegetables, and fruit, and it doesn't matter what it is. I'm not picky about what it is. And so it's like the pickiness around food, as long as it's BLE compliant food, right? And I feel like I protect my lines by making sure that my refrigerator, my freezer, and my pantry are well stocked. That to me helps me feel really safe and prepared. That I'm not a big food prepper on the weekend, but I am very well stocked when it comes to my freezer and my pantry and my refrigerator. And it's always pretty full.
I think that is really so important because, and draws my mind to something Shauna said a few weeks ago. Shauna Murph, I know you're here today. Yeah. And if you have at least something planned, I mean, you have it planned in that you know it's stocked, you know you have it.
Right.
Whereas if you don't, you just open up and see what's looking sexy today, really. I mean, like, okay, I don't have any vegetables. How can I make this work? That doesn't work. Right. You have to have something planned. Your planning is at the store, making sure you have enough stock. Right. At home.
I plan my meal the night before pretty much, especially for my breakfast and my lunch, because I work and I need to plan my lunch. But I also have a lot of extra canned things at work for me and packaged foods at work that I know. Because there's oftentimes, well, not so much with COVID, but prior to COVID, we would have people come in and take us to lunch, and they would maybe be a lunch planned on the calendar, and we may be going to places where I knew that I could eat, and so I maybe didn't bring a lunch. And then something could fall through at the last minute. So I always make sure there's stuff in the refrigerator at work and in my cupboard at work too, so that if something happens and something's bad, that I have backups there, so that I don't feel that temptation. But I don't feel the least bit deprived. This is what the food neutrality means to me. I don't feel deprived if something happens and I'm not going out to dinner, and then I'm gonna substitute a can of tuna fish instead. That's fine with me.
That's great. That's great. And I would have to agree that I've been like at my sister's house where I hadn't planned to be there for lunch, and she's like, just take a look in the fridge what I have. And it seemed like a hodgepodge to anybody else, but because the quantities were right, and that's what I would say to anybody who's here new and doesn't understand that yet, with the automaticity and of knowing I have this much amount for a protein, for a vegetable, for a fat, for a fruit, it doesn't really matter what those items are. So you could have green beans with tuna fish, carrot sticks and a few, almonds, you can make it work with an apple and you're good. Actually, that doesn't sound too bad. But what I've been amazed at is that having the consistency of the meal structure gives me so much peace, because no matter what I've chosen for those items within the structure of that meal, I have the peace knowing I have the right amount. And this is exactly what I could be eating. It's just, to me, very, very peaceful. But I'd like to get back to the program that you're going to be offering coming up in January, because I know you're going to be hitting on several things in, how many weeks is it?
Well, it's a monthly program. People can do it for 1 month, or they could do it for 6 months.
Okay.
I'm encouraging people to do it for the whole 6 months, just because every month is going to be a different topic. So the way that I'm going to be structuring it is that it's going to be a smaller group of select people that are really interested in diving deeper into their into some topics. So so I came up with the name of Celebrates Connection, because that to me speaks so clearly about what I am desiring to accomplish, that we can learn how to celebrate connecting with ourselves, connecting with others, and that we can do that through a monthly opportunity to focus on a different topic. So the first month will be celebrate connection with yourself. The next month will be celebrate connection with your thoughts, celebrate connection with your emotions, and we'll just go through it that way. And it's going to be an opportunity for us to have a deeper dive in a more intimate setting with some accountability and reporting, some ability for people to be able to feel like they have a safe environment, to be able to dig deeper and to learn more about themselves, and to learn what really works for them, and what support works for them. There will also be a buddy rotation in the group.
Wow.
I find that for me, I'm kind of modeling at a lot of different things that I've seen over the years that I have done in the way of coaching programs that I've been part of, the DBT therapy group that I was a part of, the Gideon Games, the holiday challenge that I just did. I'm just kind of putting together different pieces that I feel really led, like you said. You feel really kind of led by God, almost, in the sense that I'm waking up early in the morning with ideas of things that I feel would help to implement it. Mm-hmm. And just real excited about being able to create an intimate, safe place for people to feel like we can learn and grow together.
Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful program. I think it's really going to be beneficial to whoever takes part in that. And I have to take a look at the time here, because I know that there have been people writing in the chat. So let me just make sure we're not missing somebody. Okay.
Let's see what we have.
We really have a lot of nice comments about you, Cindy. Like, you are a positive force in Bright Line Eating. And bringing up the weekly Zoom connection hour. Can you talk about that a little bit? It's at 8:30 a.m. in Mountain Time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's welcome.
Yes, that's a public every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time. I hold a Zoom call, and I think we'll have the link in the chat there for you. Thanks to my sweetheart Sue, who's one of my other buddies that lives down the street from me. So yeah, we're gonna we open that up, and we again have different topics, and that's really a place for us to do some connecting as well. We started that group in March as a result of COVID, as just a way for people to be able to again show up, be seen, be heard, feel connected, and do the best that we can to connect over these crazy times that we're in right now. And it's such an important time for us to learn how to dig deeper and learn about what types of connections we really need that nourish us. And it's different for each one of us. Some of us are more introverts, and some of us really need, I really need face-to-face connection. And if I can't get it in person, then it's got to be live through Facebook Messenger or through Zoom. I find that's what I've learned for myself, that I really do enjoy the Facebook and the live connection.
And, so just so we're clear on this, because it will be tomorrow is another one.
Tomorrow at 8:30.
Yes. And so they can go to On the Bright Side.
On the Bright Side is the public Facebook group that I had initially started. But kind of like you, I realized that I wanted a private place to post the videos and stuff, that it wasn't out for all the public. So we started off with On the Bright Side is the public Facebook group. And then we started The Bright Spot as the private Facebook group, where I'm posting occasional videos from when we have speakers come in. I'm going to have, I don't know if Dawn's here, Dawn Acero come speak. Yeah, Dawn's here. She's going to be speaking on my speaker one on the 9th of, which is not this Saturday, but next Saturday, on a topic called Healing Touch, which I think is going to be really, really important for us, especially people that are isolated right now and not able to get out and get the hugs that so many of us need. So I'm really looking forward to having Dawn speak to us. So once a month I have a speaker, and it's usually the first or second Saturday of every month, depending on the speaker schedule and whether it's a holiday or whatever. And then every Wednesday, the Zoom call.
And I've been to 2 of those speaker ones, and they've been wonderful.
Yes.
But I want to give your contact again verbally, so that somebody who is listening to this, because it's being recorded, they should contact you at Cindy at what?
CelebrateConnection.com.
Okay, Cindy at CelebrateConnection.com. Okay. That's great. I do have something here from Shauna. Cindy, you've been a blessing in my life for years, and I'm so happy that you've been in a bright-sized body for over 3 years. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Can you share some of your non-scale victories you've experienced because of doing Bright Line Eating?
Well, thank you. Yes, Shauna, right back at you. I love this girl. We met at the very first Bright Line Eating reunion in June of 2018. We had already met each other online, but we actually met in person there, so that was a lot of fun. Again, the 9 scale victories have been the peace, the no more food chatter, the food freedom and neutrality that we already spoke about, the confidence that I have gained, the increased ability to be able to give myself compassion. And then as I'm giving myself compassion, I can be more compassionate with other people. I'm able to show up in so much more of a real way. But the connections, the deeper connections with people, to be able to
you know what? I would bet you could tap your fingers and send a message to dozens, hundreds of people. That seriously, I've said this half joking, but I'm not really kidding, that it's almost been worth it to become overly, overweight, to make all these connections with people. They're just like so amazing in my life. And it's definitely a non-scale victory. And I'm not even to my right size body yet, but it's been really great.
Oh, I would so agree. I really think the term non-scale victory is wonderful, but they really are gifts. They are really gifts that have come to us as a result of facing some of our demons, right?
Yeah.
Being able to, so the peace, I would have to say, is number one. Not just the peace around food and the silence of the food chatter that I had all the time, but the peace of being able to really show up in an honest way. Because before I was such a sneaky eater, such a sneaky person in this, that I feel like now I'm able to show up in so much more of an honest, real way that feels so wonderful. It really just feels amazing. And that's part of the miracle, is that I feel like it's been a homecoming, this experience, to be able
That's beautiful.
Yeah. It's very much a healing journey.
It is. It really is. And not just the body, the mind, the spirit, the soul, all of it. And which leads me to something I said early on in this, is that how I was so amazed, and I've been amazed the times that I have heard you do a short meditation. And when we talked a couple of days ago, I'm like, would you put your cap and see if maybe that would be something you'd be willing to direct us through tonight?
Oh,
Especially as we close out this year, and a lot of us have resolutions to continue with the journey, but I'm sure there's somebody here new tonight that is saying, I really want to give this a try. I'm scared. You know, if you could speak to that too, but if you wouldn't mind taking us to that
sure.
meditation.
Let me go ahead and just speak to that, what you said about any advice to new people, because you had asked me to address that, and then I'll be happy to. It's just a really simple thing that I do. But in reference to new people that maybe are just kind of dipping their toe in or checking out Bright Line Eating and wondering, you know, if it's right for them, I would just encourage them to truly trust themselves and trust the program. I mean, there's many of us here that could also speak to the, you know, share their own testimonies of their experience and how Bright Line Eating has changed their lives. And so if they could just, if they're noticing any resistance, like I know I had 3 months of resistance before I started. You know, if they're noticing any of that resistance, to trust the program and know that it does work. And that would be my biggest advice. If there's any other additional questions, I'd be happy to address those either through the chat or personally if people want to reach out to me through private messenger or email or whatever. But
well, there is a question here from Kim. And she said, how has your family, friends, and coworkers responded to your transformations?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you, Kim. It's been a mixed bag. It's been like, for instance, I remember my sister also has a bit of a weight problem, not as much as I have. And, you know, you just want so much to be able to share the program with other people. And I remember trying to share it with her for a good year and with no response at all, no response. Finally, almost a year and a half in, she finally came to me and said, okay, now what is this you're doing? So I would say that people around you that have seen you struggle for years going up and down are just going to watch you from a distance for a while. You know, you may be excited to share it with them early on, and it just takes time. My husband, again, it just took time. When my sister ended up doing the boot camp about a year and a half in, he decided to do it with her at that point. But that took almost a year and a half. So I would say, as you, you know, Susan tells us to keep our eyes on our own plate. And I think that's really important advice when it comes to people around us, and to give them the acceptance and grace that you want to be received from them as well, recognizing that it sometimes takes some time before someone else is going to be interested or even open to hearing what you have to say. They're going to watch you for a while. They're going to watch you to see if this is just another of the programs like you've been on, you know, for me, that they've been on in the past, you know.
True.
And so I would just ask you to be really, really patient. And I think the advice about keeping your eyes on your own plate has really helped me as well. I didn't really share it very openly with people at the very beginning. You know, I really didn't, unless people ask questions. And then I learned that I didn't immediately say, oh, it's no sugar, no flour, no, you know, give them the 4 bright lines. I never do that. I feel like if someone is really interested in learning or ask and really seeking information, they're going to ask more questions. So I will just tell them, oh, it's Bright Line Eating. You can, you know, check it out. I won't tell them what the 4 bright lines are. And, but I did at first, but I feel like for now, I feel like it's best not to give too much information other than the website, or, you know, that it's Bright Line Eating and I'm eating really healthy. I'm not eating any processed foods or whatever. Did that answer the question?
I think so. And we're running out of time. So
okay. So I just like to do a little simple breathing kind of a meditation, because I really feel that the breath is very grounding for us. If you can, anytime feeling anxious, if you can just get in touch with your breath, that can be the most grounding thing that we can do. But I would just invite anyone that would like to join us is to just really sit up straight. Make sure your feet are touching the ground. so that you can really feel your feet. This was some of the things that Everett teaches us in some of his programs. And I just like to start with just breathing and kind of just stretching, feeling like I'm just really feeling comfortable and present in my body. And then I like to just do, this is what I do quite frequently throughout the day when I'm stressed out and dealing with anxiety at work, is I take 3 breaths. And then when I'm breathing in, I say a statement. And when I'm breathing out, I'm doing more of a releasing statement. So when I'm breathing in what I want. And when I'm breathing out, I'm letting go of what I don't want, or opening up to what I do want. So it's kind of a, that way. I'm doing it, I do it different ways. But today what I'd like to do is just, we're gonna do 2 different statements. One when we're breathing in. So we'll breathe in together, and then we'll pause and we'll breathe out together to 2 different statements. So again, if you're comfortable, you may close your eyes. Just feel really comfortable in your body. And as we're breathing in, take in this statement. May I honor and accept myself just as I am today. And as we breathe out, may I open my heart to access my deepest desires. May I honor and accept myself just as I am today. May I open my heart to access my deepest desires. And may I honor and accept myself just as I am today. And may I open my heart to access my deepest desires. And then just take another breath or 2 and stretch again a little bit, rolling back your shoulders. And then what I like to invite people to do is just to lean forward and open their eyes and smile at everyone that's here, just so that we can really feel each other's presence and joy. Again, it's just a really simple thing that I do quite frequently, just to help me to deal with the stresses of life.
Well, that is just beautiful, Cindy. And thank you so much. I'm going to have that tagged on my phone so I can just hear it every day.
I would just offer you to practice different statements. Practice statements that really resonate in your body. I really like the may I statements because I feel like it's a very soft way to approach it. But you can try different other kind of statements to see what works for you. It's really about trying on different words and phrasings that really help to resonate within your body to help you feel calmer, more relaxed, more present in that moment, and taking in what you want, letting go of what you don't want. And
may I ask, is it more statements just involving you, right?
yes.
You don't, not having statements about anybody else that may be causing stress.
Most typically it is, but another technique that I learned in a compassion course that I took is when you're in a really stressful situation with another person, is to try taking in a breath for yourself. May I be calm and present in this moment, and a wish for that person when you breathe out. So you could try that if you're in a situation. Breathe in for yourself, breathe out for that other person. And doing that 2 or 3 times in a tense situation has been known to help me on occasion. So just continuing practicing what works for you to help you get into a more present, grounded space.
Well, this has just all been wonderful, Cindy. I am so grateful to you for coming in tonight and sharing your story, giving us some good advice and helpful hints, and taking us through this meditation that is really doable, I think. I know that you said that you've practiced meditation for a while, and this is the piece where Susan says it in her book somewhere. If you're just going to diet, it's not going to work. you need the connection, you need the things that, I don't want to make up words for her book, but it's like, what I get out of that is you need the self-compassion, which she calls bunny slippers, the compassion, empathy for others, keeping your eyes on your own plate, which is really like knowing that you're going through your own journey, and so is everyone else. And it's their time when it's their time. And it's our time. Sometimes you have to pave the way for someone just by example.
Well, I would so agree. It is very much of a healing, growing journey, a personal growth journey for each one of us. And to look at Bright Line Eating as just a food plan or just as a diet is not going to get you the real results that most of us want. Most of us are coming here to be able to stay in that right size body, right? Not just to get there for a hot second and then go back up again. So it really does need to become a lifestyle and a practice, but it takes time. And I think most of us want something that's going to be, just let me do this for a week or two, and now I'll be done. But it really is. I would just encourage people to take their time and enjoy the process of getting to know themselves and other people better.
And even as you said a couple of days ago, and I put a slide up on the slideshow of you in front of that cool pink Cadillac.
Yes.
Because you said the words, who is this person?
Right.
And it's a new person with a new identity. It's the same person rather, but you have a new identity.
I would say it's a homecoming. For me, it's been a homecoming, getting back into a body that I really felt like I could feel at home in, and really getting back to a place where I really do love and appreciate myself and love my life in a much deeper way than I ever thought possible. That's the miracle. Susan has a saying that we come for the vanity, but we stay for the sanity. And that is so true. We come because we want to lose weight, we thinking that that's going to help us feel better, but it's just so much more than just being in the right size body. It's really about being able to really embody that body. It's the mind, body, spirit connection that will enable us to be able to stay in that body.
To love yourself, love yourself enough to do it. And and I just want to put that out for anybody who is, these last few days of the year, and what a year it's been. But the last few days, and we're making New Year's resolutions sometimes. I know that what my New Year's resolution was every single year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Except last year, because I was already doing Bright Line Eating, I was just going to keep on going, just as you said, be unstoppable. And if you're resuming tonight, someone here, if you're resuming or if you're new, I want to just echo what Cindy's been saying. You don't have to do it alone. Make the connections. Get in the groups or join a boot camp or 14-day challenge, knowing that there are other people who are supporting you too. And reach out. Again, maybe start with tomorrow on the bright side. If you can make that Zoom chat. I think that would be a great way to kick off, what I'm going to do for the next, what I'm going to get my mindset to start out the new year right, if you're starting in the new year. And, it's just been great to chat with you. And we're now at 9:29, so we're going to close off. But if you have one last word, Cindy.
Just a really big thank you to everyone. And I would love to have you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're talking about a deeper connection with yourself and some tools around that. And just thank you. Thank you for being here. And I'm just so grateful to be on this journey with all of you.
Well, I'm so thankful for you, Cindy. And with that, I'm going to close as I have for week after week with good night, stay bright, and don't let the bed bugs bite.